Okay, so you know that feeling, right? You hit your 40s, maybe mid 40s, and suddenly the weight, it just seems to stick. Like what used to be pretty easy to shift just doesn't anymore. If that sounds familiar, well, you are definitely not alone. It's a really, really common thing.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's something we're really going to get into today, and
Yeah.
it's definitely not just about willpower.
Yeah.
That's a big misconception. I've been digging into this really comprehensive guide, and it really unpacks the science behind why losing weight can feel so different after 40, and maybe more importantly, what you can actually do about it.
Exactly. And that's our goal here, isn't it? Not just to sort of nod along about how frustrating it is. We want to understand the why our bodies might be reacting differently now. And then, yeah, pull out some really solid evidence-based strategies for you. Think of it as like a shortcut to understanding this whole phase. It's about more than just the scale number, too. It's about long-term health, feeling good. And this guide we looked at, it really does get into the details.
It really does. It goes way beyond just, eat less, move more. It looks at the complex stuff, the interplay between our biology, how it changes, and our lifestyle as we age.
Yeah. Okay, let's dive in then. So the guide starts by looking at the body itself, how it's changing. And hormones are a massive piece of that puzzle.
Huge. And what's really interesting is how even like small shifts in hormones can have these big ripple effects. For women, obviously, as the body heads towards menopause, those hormonal fluctuations are significant. They can change your metabolism, sure, but also where your body decides to store fat. The guide actually mentioned studies pointing towards more abdominal fat storage sometimes.
Right, menopause is definitely highlighted as a key factor, but it's not only a female thing, is it? The guide makes a point about men too, that there can be this gradual drop in testosterone, not like falling off a cliff overnight, but these slower changes can still impact muscle mass and metabolic rate too.
Precisely, yeah. And talking about metabolic rate, that's the other big biological shift. Our resting metabolism, basically how many calories we burn just by existing, it naturally tends to slow down.
Right.
The guide actually put a number on it, citing research suggesting maybe a 5 to 10% decrease per decade after 40 on average.
Wow, 5 to 10% per decade. That really puts things in perspective, doesn't it? It explains why maybe that extra biscuit or slightly bigger portion suddenly seems to matter more than it did back in our 20s.
Exactly. And it's not like our bodies are failing us or anything. They're just, well, operating on a slightly different setting, a new baseline.
That's actually quite helpful to hear. It's not just in my head. But the guide is also clear. This isn't like game over. It's not an insurmountable wall. It just means we probably need to be a bit more strategic, a bit smarter about our approach.
That's the key takeaway. Understand the changes, make informed adjustments.
Yep.
And, the guide also spends a good chunk of time looking at how our lifestyles often change around this time too, which adds another layer of complexity.
Oh, definitely. I mean, think about it, and I know this is true for me. Life in your 40s, 50s, it can be hectic. You've got careers maybe peaking, family responsibilities, sometimes looking after older parents too. Time just evaporates, doesn't it? And that can really hit our eating habits hard. The guide talks about how we might end up grabbing more convenience foods, maybe eating out more, just because we're stretched thin.
Yeah, and those rushed habits connect to a couple of things the guide points out. First, maybe we're not consciously choosing those really nutrient-dense foods, the stuff that keeps you full and satisfied, so you might end up eating more overall. And second, well, convenience foods are often packed with processed ingredients, unhealthy fats, loads of added sugar. It all contributes to that calorie surplus creeping up.
And then there's stress, the big one. The guide clearly lays out that link we hear about chronic stress equals more cortisol, that stress hormone, which then signals the body to store fat, especially, annoyingly, around the middle. I definitely feel like my stress goes straight there.
It's a super common pattern, unfortunately. And linked to that almost is sleep, or lack of it. The guide brings up sleep deprivation as another major factor. It specifically mentions ghrelin.
The hunger hormone.
That's the one. When you consistently skimp on sleep, that delicate balance of appetite hormones gets thrown off. Often ghrelin levels go up, making you feel hungrier and maybe craving more high-calorie foods.
Okay, wow. So you've got these internal body shifts, hormones, metabolism, and then these external pressures, just busy lives, stress, maybe not enough sleep. It definitely paints a picture of why weight loss can feel like pushing a boulder uphill sometimes.
It does. But, and this is important, the guide also brings us right back to basics. It reaffirms that the fundamental science, the core principles of weight loss, they absolutely still apply.
Right. Like the laws of physics haven't changed just because we hit 40.
Exactly. Thermodynamics still works. The guide stresses that creating that consistent calorie deficit, burning more energy than you take in, that's still key. And focusing on nutrient-rich foods, getting regular physical activity, that's the foundation. Always has been, always will be.
But what I found really useful was how the guide then layered on specific strategies for this age group. It wasn't just generic advice.
Yes, it's about tailoring the approach. And one of the really big recommendations, a major emphasis, is strength training.
Lifting weights, resistance bands, that kind of thing.
Exactly. The guide explains that we naturally tend to lose a bit of muscle mass as we age, something called sarcopenia. And since muscle tissue burns more calories at rest than fat tissue does, building and maintaining muscle through strength training is, well, incredibly helpful for boosting your overall metabolism.
That makes total sense. So it's not just about slogging away on the treadmill for hours.
Not at all. Cardio is still important for heart health, of course.
Yeah.
But the guide really highlights the metabolic benefit of that lean muscle.
Okay. And beyond the gym, what about other lifestyle stuff?
Well, it emphasizes being more mindful. Really conscious choices about what you're eating, finding healthier ways to cope with stress. Easier said than done, I know.
Tell me about it.
And really making sleep a priority. Treating it like a crucial health behavior, not a luxury.
Right. Non-negotiable.
Mm-hmm. And the guide also touches on a couple of interesting dietary approaches. It briefly mentions intermittent fasting, for instance.
Yeah, that comes up a lot these days.
It does. And the guide presents it as one potential tool. The idea, backed by some research it cited, is that strategically timing when you eat might help your body burn fat more effectively. And it could potentially improve insulin sensitivity too, which can sometimes become more of a concern as we get older.
But it's not a magic fix, right? The guide seemed careful about that.
Oh, absolutely not. It stresses that IF isn't for everyone, and you need to see if it fits your life and health status. But it's presented as, a valid strategy some people find effective.
Okay. And exercise-wise, apart from strength training, did it mention anything else specific?
Yes, he gave a strong nod to HITSE, high-intensity interval training.
The short bursts of really hard work.
That's it. Short, intense bursts of activity followed by brief rest periods. The guide explains why this can be particularly good for weight loss, even after 40. It really gets your heart rate up and can boost your metabolism significantly in a pretty short workout time. Plus, let's be honest, it can be easier to fit into a packed schedule than a longer, slower workout.
That's a good point. Efficiency matters when time is tight. So ultimately, it sounds like the guide really comes back to personalization, doesn't it?
Completely. It hammers home that there's no single best way. What works wonders for one person might not suit another at all. You have to consider your own health, your daily routine, what you actually enjoy and can stick with long term. Sustainability is key.
Yeah, finding something you don't absolutely hate doing.
Pretty much. And it also wisely suggests talking to the pros, your doctor, maybe a registered dietitian, to get advice tailored specifically to you. And importantly, it reminds us to be patient. Progress might not be linear. There will be ups and downs. Celebrating the small wins, the non-scale victories, is really important for staying motivated.
Okay, so let's try and wrap this up. To summarize what this guide told us, losing weight after 40 can be trickier. That's not just a feeling, it's backed by biology. Hormones shift, metabolism naturally slows a bit, and our lifestyle's often busier, maybe more stressful, potentially less sleep. They definitely play a big part too.
And this is the crucial, but it's absolutely not impossible. The guide gives a real sense of empowerment, actually. It shows that the fundamental principles still work. And by making smart strategic adjustments, like really focusing on strength training, being more mindful about food, stress, sleep, maybe exploring things like HIIT or IF if they suit you, achieving your health and weight goals is definitely doable.
Yeah, the overall message feels positive, it's achievable, and it's really about overall health and feeling good, not just chasing a number on the scale.
Exactly. It's about long-term well-being. So maybe a final thought for you listening. Reflecting on all this, which area do you think might be having the biggest impact on your personal journey right now? Is it maybe the hormonal side? the lifestyle pressures, or perhaps the type of exercise you're doing or not doing. Perhaps just think about one small targeted change you could experiment with this week based on what we've talked about, just to start exploring what might work best for you.